Wembley Stadium, July 30, 1966, a single moment would divide football opinion for generations to come. A football strikes the underside of a crossbar, bounces down, and the world holds its breath in disbelief. Geoff Hurst's shot in extra time produced the most debated goal in World Cup history, never fully resolved. Referee Gottfried Dienst consulted linesman Tawfiq Bahramov before awarding the goal that changed history forever. England won 4-2, but the question of whether that ball fully crossed the line never truly disappeared. Decades later, goal line technology was introduced to football precisely because moments like this demanded certainty. FIFA introduced goal line technology at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, ending ambiguity at the highest level. The 1966 controversy directly shaped how football's governing bodies eventually approached officiating and technology. German football fans and officials maintained for decades that the ball never fully crossed the goal line. English supporters celebrated the goal without hesitation, and it became the cornerstone of national football identity. Geoff Hurst became the only player ever to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final, a record still standing. The disputed third goal arrived in the 101st minute of extra time, with the score locked at 2-2. Scientific studies conducted years later attempted to use photographic evidence to resolve the controversy definitively. Oxford University researchers in 1996 published analysis suggesting the ball did not fully cross the line. Other analysts disputed those findings, arguing the photographic angles made definitive conclusions impossible to reach. The BBC and ITV broadcast the match live, giving millions of viewers their own imperfect view of the incident. Camera angles available in 1966 were limited, making frame-by-frame analysis frustratingly inconclusive for all sides. The controversy ensured that every England versus Germany match for decades carried an extra layer of historical weight. Tawfiq Bahramov, the Soviet linesman, became a celebrated figure in England and a controversial one in Germany. Azerbaijan named their national football stadium the Tawfiq Bahramov Stadium in his honor after his death in 1993. The human conflict at the heart of this story was a single linesman's split-second decision under enormous pressure. Bahramov was positioned on the goal line, but his exact angle of vision remains a subject of genuine debate. West Germany's players surrounded referee Dienst immediately, protesting vigorously that no goal should be awarded. Dienst, a Swiss referee, appeared uncertain and walked to the touchline to consult Bahramov before deciding. The consultation between Dienst and Bahramov lasted only seconds, yet its consequences lasted more than half a century. Bahramov reportedly indicated the ball had crossed the line, and Dienst pointed to the center circle for a goal. England's players erupted in celebration while West Germany's players stood in stunned, disbelieving silence on the pitch. The West German Football Association formally protested the decision to FIFA after the final whistle was blown. FIFA did not overturn the result, and England's 4-2 victory over West Germany was confirmed as the official outcome. The political context of the Cold War added an additional layer of tension to Bahramov's role as a Soviet official. Some commentators noted the irony that a Soviet linesman helped England win their only World Cup on home soil. Bahramov never gave a detailed public explanation of exactly what he saw during that crucial moment at Wembley. A story circulated later that Bahramov said the word Stalingrad when asked why he gave the goal, but this is unverified. No credible documented source confirms the Stalingrad remark, and historians treat it as an unverified anecdote only. Hurst himself always maintained the ball crossed the line, a position he has held consistently throughout his life. West Germany's goalkeeper Hans Tilkowski always insisted the ball did not cross the line during that incident. Roger Hunt, England's forward nearest the ball, turned away immediately, apparently convinced the goal was valid. Hunt's immediate reaction was later cited by England supporters as evidence the ball had clearly crossed the line. West German players argued Hunt would have tapped in a rebound had he not been certain the goal was already given. This single moment of ambiguity became the defining controversy of the entire 1966 World Cup tournament. The 1966 World Cup was hosted by England, the only time the country has staged football's greatest international tournament. England were managed by Alf Ramsey, who had promised the nation in 1963 that England would win the World Cup. Ramsey's tactical system, known as the wingless wonders formation, was revolutionary for English football at the time. Geoff Hurst was not originally in England's starting 11 and only entered the tournament squad through injury circumstances. Jimmy Greaves, England's prolific striker, missed the final after recovering from injury, a decision that remains discussed. West Germany reached the final after defeating the Soviet Union 2-1 in their semi-final match at Goodison Park. England defeated Portugal 2-1 in their semi-final at Wembley, with Bobby Charlton scoring both England goals. The final on July 30, 1966 kicked off at 3 p.m. before an official attendance of 96,924 spectators at Wembley. Helmut Haller gave West Germany the lead in the 12th minute, converting after a defensive error by England. Geoff Hurst equalised for England in the 18th minute with a header from a Martin Peters cross on the left. Martin Peters scored England's second goal in the 78th minute, putting England 2-1 ahead with 12 minutes remaining. West Germany equalised controversially in the 89th minute through Wolfgang Weber, forcing the match into extra time. England manager Alf Ramsey famously told his players during the break that they had already won the World Cup once. Extra time began with both teams visibly exhausted after 90 minutes of intense physical football in summer heat. In the 101st minute, Alan Ball delivered a cross from the right that reached Hurst inside the West German penalty area. Hurst turned and struck the ball with his right foot, sending it powerfully toward the underside of the crossbar. The ball struck the underside of the crossbar, bounced down toward the goal line, and rebounded back into play. Under the laws of football, the entire ball must cross the entire goal line for a goal to be correctly awarded. The photographic and film evidence available from 1966 does not conclusively show whether this requirement was met. The BBC's television footage showed the ball bouncing down, but the camera angle made a definitive reading impossible. A German television camera captured a different angle, but experts have disagreed on what that footage conclusively shows. The ball's trajectory after hitting the crossbar meant it bounced at an angle that complicated any visual assessment. In 1996, a team from Oxford University used computer analysis of the available footage to examine the incident. The Oxford study concluded the ball had not fully crossed the line, but acknowledged the limitations of available evidence. Imperial College London researchers also examined the footage and similarly concluded the ball likely did not cross fully. Supporters of the goal's validity argue that the ball's spin and compression make visual analysis fundamentally unreliable. The Jules Rimet Trophy was presented to England captain Bobby Moore by Queen Elizabeth II at Wembley after the final. Bobby Moore wiped his hands on his shorts before shaking hands with the Queen, a detail remembered by millions of viewers. Hurst's fourth goal, scored in the final minute of extra time, settled any remaining doubt about the match's outcome. BBC commentator Kenneth Wolstenholme delivered his iconic commentary as Hurst scored that fourth goal in extra time. Wolstenholme's words, "They think it is all over, it is now," became the most famous commentary in English football history. The final whistle confirmed England as world champions for the first and, to date, only time in their history. The victory parade through London drew enormous crowds celebrating England's first and only World Cup triumph. Alf Ramsey was knighted for his achievement, becoming Sir Alf Ramsey in recognition of England's World Cup victory. Geoff Hurst was also knighted, becoming Sir Geoff Hurst, the only man to score a World Cup final hat-trick. The controversy resurfaced prominently when England played West Germany in major tournaments in subsequent decades. Germany defeated England 4-1 at the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, a result that prompted inevitable historical comparisons. In that 2010 match, a Frank Lampard shot crossed the German goal line but was not given, adding bitter irony. The Lampard incident in 2010 accelerated FIFA's eventual adoption of goal line technology at the highest level of football. The 1966 goal and the 2010 non-goal formed a symmetrical historical irony that football fans on both sides acknowledged. The 1966 World Cup final goal remains officially valid, and England's victory remains the confirmed historical record. No sporting authority has ever overturned the result, and the goal stands as part of the official World Cup record. What the controversy reveals is the fundamental human fallibility at the heart of football officiating decisions. Tofik Baramov made a decision in a fraction of a second that no technology existed in 1966 to verify or challenge. His decision changed the course of football history, elevated a nation, and defined the career of Geoff Hurst forever. The story of the 1966 goal is ultimately a story about the limits of human perception under extreme sporting pressure. Modern goal line technology means no future World Cup final will ever face the same unanswerable question again. But the 1966 question, did it cross the line, will never be answered with the certainty that history demands. That unresolved question is precisely what makes the 1966 World Cup final the most debated match in football history. England's greatest triumph rests on a bounce, a decision, and a question that the world still cannot stop asking.